So in the last week or so, I made a video talking about which of the Bridgerton siblings, or rather, which of the three main remaining siblings, Benedict, Eloise or Francesca, would make the most narrative sense to have their story put to screen first. And over the course of that video, I pretty much completely ruled out Francesca and Eloise because I think they just need far more time to cook in terms of their characters and setting things up to make sense for their stories, which from what I've seen, need far more setup than your average Bridgerton romance. Many of which seem to be your classic romantic storyline that can be solely contained within a single season. And on top of that, I feel like Benedict, his story was one that was largely directionless at this stage. He'd very much hit a brick wall in terms of his overall storyline. He had his art thing in the first 2 seasons, but they killed that off, and they didn't really follow up with it. And then they chucked him into a doomed romance that was less romance and more just raunchy sex scenes over and over again before he realizes he's bisexual, and he has a lot of threesomes, almost as a throwaway transitional scene for the main storylines. It was honestly handled so strangely, and so at the end of all that, he decided, nah, I'm not settling down for anybody. I'm a free agent, free as a bird. And of course, in Bridgerton man tradition, the dumb shit you say about love almost inevitably is reversed the next season. Anthony thinks love matches are silly, he meets a love match. Colin will never court Penelope Featherington, and then he does. Benedict doesn't want to settle down? Well, with the announcement by Netflix as him being the lead of the next season, it's clear that he's settling down. But yes, we have Benedict as the announced lead in a cute little video by Netflix. And of course the fandom has gone absolutely wild for this, as Benedict is massively popular despite being given very little to do as of recent. His book is apparently one of the most popular as well, although as a non-book reader, well, I do read, but not this franchise, I wouldn't necessarily know which books are overall considered favourites compared to others. But yes, we have Benedict as the lead for season 4. No real word as to who's been cast for Sophie, but considering we're not all that far away from filming, I'd be shocked if the role had not already been cast. We plebs just have to wait and see for any announcements. I've seen some discussion that they might try to keep it secret to play into that masquerade type of vibe, but that just feels like a waste of time. In this modern day, I'd be damn shocked if it didn't leak immediately. And hell, they often have paparazzi shots from the sets and whatnot. I think it would become very obvious if someone had been cast, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm sure it's going to be announced at some point pretty soonish. Of course, that's a moot point because they have plenty of time, a 2-year gap between seasons, with no extra spin-off to tide us over until then. Oh, goddamn, I'm tired of these new trends. For some shows I can at least somewhat understand, but for this, for Bridgerton, come on, just stop it. Stop! But since we have such a long time between series, what else is there for us to do, except to baselessly speculate on what's going to happen over the course of the 4th season? To try to investigate what direction they should take Benedict's storyline. Now, one of the big talking points surrounding Benedict this most recent season was that he had a same-sex, it's not really a relationship, but a hookup with that handsome guy who was also hooking up with Lady Tilly. And with the confirmation that Michael is now Michaela in the show, I think there's been a lot of speculation that perhaps Sophie would become Sophus or something similar. I'm not going to make the mistake of laughing at any potential names this time. I walked into that last time when somebody commented, "That's my name," and I felt very bad. Whoopsie. But yeah, Benedict, who is your mystery partner? Now, obviously, I think there is room for Sophie to be cast as a man, and I personally wouldn't care. Like I said, I haven't read the books. I do not have an attachment to these people. But that being said, I just don't see it happening, and I don't know why. It's just a gut feeling, right? They'll keep Sophie as a woman. I don't know whether there's been any sort of announcement about that sort of thing, but it's just my gut, you know? However, that being said, it does leave this latest story beat high and dry. We saw him discover new elements to his sexuality, which is fine and dandy, but to only explore it via the context of steamy threesomes, and then back all the way off that storyline, I don't know, is that exploitative to any of you? Kind of feels that way to me. I don't particularly like that. And so I do think there are ways to integrate that into the context of his story, but no weird sex with randoms, please, when he's romancing somebody else. Like, when they had Colin have sex with prostitutes in threesomes, that was so cringe. It was not compelling. It felt awkward. Why did I have to watch that? So yeah, having something like that would be pretty shit, because it's surface level. And please don't do a love triangle, my god, surely we're all sick of those by now. Nope, no thank you. Tired of the sex for the sake of it, if I'm being honest, at least for him. But yeah, back to the main point of this. It does make me wonder, did they have him have that brief bisexual dalliance as simply a check-the-box moment for his character so they can point at it and crow about how progressive they are? Really performative kind of stuff without much substance? Without being bothered to make a compelling storyline for such a partnership? That would be very disappointing, honestly, but I don't know. It could happen. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that they'll be doing Benedict and Sophie. It's supposed to be some sort of Cinderella type story. Reminder, I'm not a book reader, so I don't have the full info beyond what you can find in posts and on wikis and whatnot. So no hate for the books, I'm just not interested in reading them. I much prefer to just watch this type of content. So it's going to be some sort of Cinderella story where he meets Sophie at a ball, then spends time trying to track her down. Meanwhile, her life sucks. She's apparently an illegitimate kid, mistreated by her family, and in the end, she eventually meets him and gets her happily ever after. After some drama, of course. Forgive me if that's a bit of a bare bones retelling, but like I said, I haven't read the books. It is what it is. But what I did see on social media was this idea to integrate a bit of a Shakespearean twist into the proceedings. One that can take into account Ben's sexual preferences and identity, whilst also making fellow connoisseurs of mid-2000s teen romantic comedies nostalgic as all hell. She's the man, anyone? So yeah, this would be a way to include that kind of thing, by taking inspiration from Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. Have Benedict meet this woman at the masquerade ball. He falls for her over the course of the evening. Eventually left heartbroken, she ditches out on him anonymously. He searches for her in vain. Honestly, don't know how you do this, but I'm not a screenwriter. I guess in the 12th Night, Viola dresses up as a male servant, so maybe Benedict turns up at Sophie's family's home, doesn't find what he's looking for, but meets a supposedly male servant. He's attracted to this male servant. He meets him again and again, more and more. He's intrigued. But Sophie becomes sad because the man she was vibing at the party seems to be into men. After all, this is the Regency. I doubt there's much nuance in knowing what bisexuality is. I doubt it's commonplace, at least in public perception. So she's probably going to think, oh, this guy likes men. Then it's going to all be revealed somehow. Benedict can share that he's bisexual to Sophie, who accepts him, because I do think it's important that for a true love match, this is actually addressed by the story, and they show that she accepts him. Otherwise, it feels like him being forced to hide part of himself, which is not romantic to me. Mostly sad, and at best, bittersweet. So I guess, that's one way they could present his story in a way that feels unique for the setting. I think it would be rather interesting, but I don't know, maybe there's better ideas. But that being said, there is more. One of the big criticisms Season 3 had, and honestly Season 2 had, is that some felt the main couple, who were supposed to anchor the story, didn't get much time as a couple. Most of it spent on angst, as opposed to Season 1 where, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, that it felt like we were watching their romance and sex scenes play out for ages on screen. Like, ages, I say! My poor brother was watching with my parents. Oh, how he suffered. And so I guess this gives a chance for more interaction between the couple in a positive way. I'm just spitballing though. And so I do think people need to strap themselves in because, it was a trend in Season 2 and then 3, and both had record viewership. It's the cash cow. Angst is the cash cow, and I doubt much is going to change. The fact of the matter is, they are going to move away from the main couple regularly to explore side stories they find interesting. Season 3 had Eloise's story with both Pen and Cressida. They had Francesca and John, Violet and Marcus, the Mondriches. Ugh. Benedict and Lady Tilly, Lady Danbury and her brother's fractured bond, the Featherington baby race, even some Canthony, although not much of that. And so expect for this season to have just as many as that. For sure, they'll have Francesca and John and Michaela doing something to set up a future season. And Eloise has always been a big feature of the show with a story of her own each season. That's not going to change. They're going to keep going with Violet's love story because it is a change of pace and it's cute. It's nice. Canthony, sorry, but I don't think they're going to feature in any meaningful way. Which is a shame, but it is what it is. They need a way to include the Queen as well, methinks. She's always been a big part of the show, and it would be sad to phase that out, because it would take away some of the extended universe and charm. Is Pen and Colin going to feature heavily? I honestly think they will. Does it not kill the vibe of the show if Lady Whistledown, now Mrs. Bridgerton or whatever you want to call her, and her vicious gossip rag are no longer a major feature? I kind of think it does. But that being said, the reveal takes away the mystery. You really could have milked her versus the Queen for years and years and years, because it would just be funny at times and quite lighthearted once she's sorted the drama in the family, at least. I don't know, I kind of also want to just see a married life storyline with the ups and downs that it comes with. Every time we get a happy ending, it gets ripped away from us, and we have awkward returns, like with Daphne alone in Season 2, or Canthony this season, only for them to go off on honeymoon again, even though it feels like the Mondrich storyline was perfect for them, where Kate is now on the top level of the ton, and she needs to figure things out and hold a triumphant ball. But nah, honeymoon, then India. Goodbye, have fun filming other things and being more famous. Damn. So yeah, I think they might keep Colin and Pen around. After all, the show is capable of juggling multiple storylines whilst granting deference to the main story. It has been done before, and it has been done well. Maybe not in Season 3, but it has been, Season 1 was really good at that, and Season 2 wasn't that bad at it either. So let's hope this season's a banger and they find the right balance. So, yeah, beyond that, there isn't really much to say. I'm pretty hyped. But honestly, that is going to dwindle as the long wait period starts to set in, and we come into what I like to call a fandom winter, where everything dies off and there's no real news or hope. Dreamers, they're going to hope for December 2025, but my cynical brain is telling me that we, gentle readers, or gentle watchers, we won't be getting jack shit until 2026, so that's just lovely. And so with all that being said, these have just been my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What do you think of this big announcement and the future of Season 4? You on board? Maybe not. I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.